maybe someone who can help give us a few of those answers. Kentucky Congressman James Comer. Congressman, thanks for coming back. I need some help here. I don't understand what world we're living in when she says, we've been to the border. Lester Holt says, no, you haven't. And she's like, what are you trying to get at?
Yeah, they're trying to downplay this. I don't think she wants to go to the border because she knows the media will follow her. And so many of the media have turned a blind eye to this. They might be shocked what they find. And if they open their ears and listen to the border control, they're going to see not only are we having thousands of migrants crossing that border every day illegally, we're also having tons and tons of drugs. We're having human trafficking. We're having all sorts of humanitarian issues. And the Democrats just want to turn a blind eye. And it's very unfortunate.
It is unfortunate because, to your point, this administration doesn't want to call it a crisis, but it is a crisis. According to Customs and Border Protection data that was obtained by Axios, nearly 900,000 migrants were stopped by the Border Patrol. This is from October 1st to May 31st. This is the most since 2006. Congressman, can you imagine if we were in a different crisis, say a natural disaster, and the Vice President of the United States was asked if they're going to visit the disaster zone, and their response is, well, I haven't been to Europe either. That just wouldn't be acceptable. How is she getting away with this?
Well, it wouldn't be acceptable. She's getting away with this because the media is confused. They don't know what to do in this world of political correctness. When you have the Squad and so many of the socialists in the Democrat Party now trying to imply that anyone trying to secure the border is a racist, they don't know what to do. And they just hope that this issue will go away. And obviously it's not going away. This is costing the taxpayers billions of dollars. This is costing lives every day in the form of illegal drugs coming across that border. And we're seeing a huge rise in sex trafficking because of the human trafficking that's taking place every day on the border. It's terrible, and it's just unimaginable that Kamala Harris hasn't set foot on the border since she is the border czar now, according to President Biden.
Well, I was going to say, though, speaking of that money, right, they don't even want it. She's going down there talking about root causes, right? And she's saying we're going to bring all this money down to help solve these problems. The president of Guatemala says, I don't want the money.
Yeah, I mean, so much money means nothing to the Democrats. I've never seen spending like I've seen in the last 4.5 months, and it's not going to end. They think you can just continue to pay everybody off. They think socialism's the answer. What they need to do is they need to have a policy to secure the border. They need to go and have a press conference on the border, much like the one that she had, only a completely different position, the position more like Donald Trump, secure the border. And look, we're humanitarians. We want to help these people that are trying to come across the border legally. Let's set up Red Cross and FEMA on the Mexican side of the border and try to help these people. But we cannot allow these people to continue to come to the border and trying to pay countries to slow the influx of their residents fleeing their country to come to the United States. That's not the answer. That's only going to make the problem worse. Everything they do in the Biden-Harris administration makes this crisis worse every day.
It does. And they act like they can't chew gum and walk at the same time, talk about the root cause and visit the border. But Congressman, I do want to switch gears with you. Meanwhile, there are reports out that there is a top secret report that concluded the Wuhan lab leak was a possibility. Apparently, this came out in May of last year, but it wasn't delivered to the State Department until October of last year. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it kind of makes you wonder about the deep state and why this information wasn't immediately delivered to the state and to the office of the president and to Congress. More and more comes out every day that just leads everyone to believe that people knew that this came from the Wuhan lab, people in the medical community, people of the World Health Organization, and they didn't want to do anything to give Donald Trump credibility. And when you think about playing politics with national security, this costs lives, and people need to be held accountable. That's why the House Oversight Committee is looking into any link possible to this Wuhan conspiracy, especially American tax dollars being spent there, what the purpose of these tax dollars were going for, What other American countries had relationships with this Wuhan lab? Did those American companies know about what was going on? We've already got other credible intelligence that says that the people that were living in Wuhan that were Americans and affiliated with American companies over there said that the death count was significantly higher every day early on than what China was reporting. So the fact that China's lied is a surprise to no one. The fact that the World Health Organization lied is really not a surprise to any Republican. But what Congress needs to do now is get to the bottom of this, find out exactly what everyone knew, when they knew it, and then hold people accountable and make sure that it never happens again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that to me is the problem right now. Let me ask you real quick. I know that there's reports now that they're building, potentially China is now talking about dozens of new biolabs. Just real quick, do you think that your colleagues in Congress understand the threat that China poses to this country?
I think that the Republicans understand. I think the Democrats are starting to understand. Now, you've got some Democrats that will refuse to understand because they think that even asking that question is a racist position to take, and they want to be politically correct. But what we have to make sure is what American companies have relationships with the Wuhan lab and other labs that you mentioned that are in development now. And if it's a problem because of American policy, because of liability or whatever, we need to fix that. And those American companies need to be doing that research in the United States. We don't need to do anything with China that could come back and bite us from a biological standpoint, from a national security standpoint. And these are questions that Congress should be taking seriously. Unfortunately, as you know, Sean, the Democrats in Congress, for whatever reason, they're scared to death of China. They don't want to do anything to offend China. I don't know if it's the Hunter Biden relationship, the Joe Biden relationship. I don't know what it is, but they just don't want to do anything to hold China accountable.
It's scary to me. Congressman, thank you for joining us, and I hope that we can keep checking in on this.
Thanks for having me on, Sean.